Welcome to Spenny and the Nets, episode 232. I'm your host, Spen Harris, and I am joined today by my brother from another mother, recurring guest of the show. He's the host of Bad Weather Fans, the podcast, and he is a diehard Nets fan. Quite honestly, I don't know a lot of Nets fans out there who are more diehard than this guy. Mike Bisceglia, welcome back to the show.
Lucky me. What's up, Spen? Good to see you. Yeah, good to be here. Looking forward to previewing this Brooklyn Nets upcoming season.
Before we get started, out of all the teams to be a diehard fan of, do you feel unlucky that it's the Brooklyn Nets?
That's an interesting question. Yes and no, because when you grow up a Nets fan, I just love them so much. So it would be nice to win, like that would be cool, I guess. The team has no championships in its NBA history. Of course, they went to the two NBA finals. I was a senior in high school and a freshman in college those 2 years. So I look back at those years fondly. Which, but outside of that, there good progress made. After that, with Vince Carter, had some good years, and then of course, and Brooklyn has been so up and down with a lot of downs, with some peaks of highs. I mean, some true peaks. But for the most part, a shit show. So like, to answer your question, yes, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I guess like I can't imagine walking in here being like, man, I love my Hawks. I'm excited for Porzingis. That would be weird, right? So I don't know.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, you've been a Nets fan a little bit longer than me, right? You watched the team in the 90s, the Kenny Anderson years, Drazen Petrovic. Um, I got into them when I was 9 or 10, which is
Yeah,
literally the year they got kid.
right.
So for me, I kind of view it as like it's like one of those relationships, you can think of it in like high school, you get into and it's hot and heavy right away and there's love in the air and you feel like this is going to be your person forever. And then after the first 2 or 3 years, the relationship just goes downhill, but you don't break up. You stay with your partner. You,
Sure.
you try to make it work for years. And before you know it, you're just in a relationship that kind of doesn't benefit either side, but you're not going to break up with them because they're your first love. And
Yeah.
that's how I kind of view Nets fandom.
And remember, when they do win the title, like it'll feel really good. I mean, it'll be a really good feeling. I fantasize about it sometimes, not like in a sexual way or anything, but just like I fantasize about what would it be like, with that moment, that just exhale, that release. Just imagining what that championship would be like. It'll be special. So, you just got to hang tight, and hopefully this core draft class is the foundation for what we're talking about in years future. Most likely not, but we have no other choice. What can I tell you?
Listen, that hypothetical fantasy you brought up, that's why we watch all those games. That's why we occasionally go to Barclays, which is not the easiest commute for
No.
either Mike or myself living in Jersey. But that's why you put in all those hours of shit basketball over the years and just constant dread and constant anxiety
Yep.
surrounding this team and having to get, big brother, little brothered by that team that in Manhattan we won't really mention right now. You put in all those hours because of that fantasy that you mentioned is
Yeah.
not sexual for you. For me, it's pretty sexual for me. Um,
Fair.
but yeah, let's get into it. So, one preseason game to go over. 114 Nets, 119 Raptors in Toronto, the Nets finale. This is our first look at Jaeger Duyman since the summer league.
Yeah.
It's funny. I watched this game on DVR and I thought he looked good. I wouldn't say he looked amazing. I wouldn't say, holy shit, we found our savior. 14 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist in 19 minutes. He went to the free throw line a few times. If you looked at Nets Twitter, though, you would think that this guy is the second coming of MJ. I mean, just some of the tweets I saw, like we'll get to Nets Twitter in a bit, but what were your overall thoughts on sort of his first NBA action, really, because I don't count the summer league as NBA action. What were your thoughts on Jaeger Duyman's performance in Toronto?
Yeah, I'm glad you led with this question. And first of all, I've actually like deleted Twitter for the most part. I'll go on when I need to because it impacts thoughts that aren't rational, and it's just not for me. It wasn't like a healthy space, and was seeing things that were just annoying. And it's funny that you mentioned that because on draft night when he was selected, there was such an uproar and there was so much anger that was put towards the Nets because they took him there. And I was like, hey guys, he's 19 years old. Let's see how this thing plays out. So I just find it ironic then when people are doing a total 180 after one performance. Now, I agree with you. I was really encouraged by what I saw. I thought for his first NBA preseason game against a Raptors team that, by the way, was trying. That was for a preseason basketball game, maybe the most entertaining Nets preseason basketball game I can ever remember. Like I was watching that game at the end, being like, I kind of want to win this, and then reminding myself it doesn't really matter. But I thought, he came off the bench. I think played basically like the entire, was it the second quarter? And his jumper looked smooth. He did a nice job bringing it up and down the court. He slipped baseline, had a nice layup finish. Forget who passed it to him. But for the most part, yeah, I was impressed. I was happy with what I saw. I think if you look at Nets Twitter as an example, and when they selected him, you figured he'd go on the basketball court and didn't know how to play basketball, but he does. Surprise. And that was great to see. So yeah, I was encouraged by that. I thought it was a very good first performance in limited minutes, which I'm not surprised by. Obviously, coming back from the injury, and yeah, encouraged by it. And all of these guys are he's 19 years old, right? Like he's a kid. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but for first impressions, yeah, pretty good. I was happy with what I saw, and it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think, there were a few things we saw. Like, I'm not concerned with his jump shot. I think he's going to hit jump shots. That to me, I worry about Saraf with his shooting. Traore, we'll get into these other rookies in a bit, but I don't think shooting is a concern for me with Jaeger Joyman.
Yeah,
Um, he showed the passing a little bit. He had the one assist, but there were a few just right basketball plays he made. For me, I know he's young. I know he's 19. I want to see that aggression a little more. I
yeah.
want to see him like, he was bringing the ball up the court. I want to see him just do that and then go to the lane on like one or two possessions. And I think that's what I'm missing from his game is if you're the eighth pick overall and you're the guy that we put a lot of chips into your basket, I want to see that Luka Doncic potential. And I know that's an unfair comparison because they're different players, but when I hear that a guy was successful overseas, and he played that one year at BYU, and we take him eight, and everyone craps on Sean Marks. I was not someone who crapped on Sean Marks. I'm someone who believes that the front office knows more than I do. That's just my rationale. Maybe they don't make the best basketball decisions all the time, but they have the research, they have the stats in front of them, they have the film. So for me, I'm just like that's the one thing I'm looking for. I'm looking for that killer instinct. I saw it a little bit in this game. I just wanted to see a little bit more.
Yeah, it's his first pro game, and I have to. You have to. I think you have to remember that, like his first time coming off an injury, being in a pro arena in Toronto. I thought he did a nice job. Now, I don't think it was. You watch that game and you go, "Holy shit, we got Cooper Flag here, and this is going to be unbelievable." But expectations, first game, I was happy to see that. It was exciting because you got a point guard here, and then you got Saraf. I know who we'll talk about. You just feel like you have two guys. I think it's pretty clear are going to take the minutes at the point guard position, and we'll see how they develop. We'll see how they play, and it's a little bit exciting that all right. Well, we got this young foundation, these two kids that are going to come in here. The scoring is going to come from other places for the most part, but just to see a rookie point guard, eighth overall pick. It's been a long time that I can remember really just watching Nets basketball and seeing a high draft lottery pick on the court and having that rooting interest where it feels a little bit different than other times because this is truly homegrown. So, there's gonna be a lot of passion to see him succeed.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We were talking about a rookie. Let's transition to a guy who's played in his fair share of preseason games, and he had his, I guess, our best look at him as a net so far. Michael Porter Jr.
Mm,
popped off for 34 points and 10 rebounds against Toronto. He was 12 of 20 from the field, made six three
really
pointers.
good.
I mean, it felt like he was making every single three he took, and his jump shot's damn near possible to contest. I mean, he's as tall 6'10". He can get to his spots. What did you think of MPJ's performance, really, this game, just compared to the rest?
Yeah, that was like the most Kevin Duranty game I can remember. As you mentioned, like tall. shoots over everybody, picked his spots, got anywhere on the floor. It was impressive offensively. And if you're going to look at it as a trade, Cam Johnson could not do that. Love Cam. I think he's a good piece for Denver on a team going for a title that's a third or fourth option and makes sense for more of what they're doing, right? But if you're going to just look on a pure offensive output standpoint, there's no way Cam Johnson could ever do that. That was offensive showcase. And MPJ had that bonehead defensive lapse at the end of the game where and Coach Fernandez talked to him about the rotations. But purely offensively and carrying them, if that's something that he is going to do, and I'm not going to say consistently like that, because that is what Durant was. I mean, truly was like comes in, scores like that, you can't stop him. But if he's going to be something close to that, he's going to earn himself a big contract. And I always have this firm belief, and I heard this take, and it really bothered me. It was like, if the Nets this year are really good and some of these rookies are like all rookie team guys and they don't, then their pick next year stinks and isn't that good, it's a disappointment. And I was like, I could not have a more 180 viewpoint of that than it's there's success. I mean, I don't think it's that bad. Like, what happens if MPJ is awesome? Like, what happens if he comes to Brooklyn and it's the right situation for him and he becomes a star? Why is that a bad thing? You want to get these guys. And if it just so happens that that's the way it was created, so be it, and then you develop the rookies alongside of a star player. That's okay too. I was encouraged by it. I hope he continues to do that. And that would be, I think would be a great vibe for Brooklyn if this guy comes in and is a star player and resurrects his career to higher heights because of the coaching staff, the new situation. Like, I'm all for it. And, I'm sure it won't happen. And I'm sure that was a one-time thing. And, the way I'm used to things just not working, but I thought it was great.
Yeah, when we acquired him, I kind of had a feeling we're going to see games like this from Michael Porter Jr., right? Like outside of Cam Thomas, the Nets don't have anyone that can score the basketball on their own, I mean. So we're going to see performances like this. I also think we're going to see performances where he goes for 6 points. He's 1 of 15 from the field and like 0 of 7 from three. Like
Right.
that's what you're going to get with a high volume shooter like Michael Porter Jr. There's not a shot on the court he doesn't like. We're going to see some heaves. It's going to happen. But when he's on, these are the kind of performances you can get. And like you said, from a physical standpoint, he just has a makeup where Cam Johnson had to work a lot harder for his shots. And
Sure.
Michael Porter Jr., with the ball in his hands, he can sidestep and shoot over really any defender that's not Kevin Durant, Victor Wembanyama, those guys. So it was nice to see him get going in that Toronto game because he hadn't really gotten going in the games in Macau. Um, Moving down the line, we had a 20-point game from Zaire Williams. I'm very, very excited for him to be back with this team.
Yeah.
With everyone transitioning and us kind of getting rid of veterans and trying to take on team-friendly contracts, he was a guy who worked his ass off last year on a team that was constantly losing, constantly changing the roster and the rotation. Yet he was able to get better as a three-point shooter. His defense was great. He had some really nice moments last year, specifically that game against Memphis that comes up in the beginning of the year when
Mm-hmm.
I think the Nets won against Memphis at least
Yes.
once. But yeah, I was happy to see him get 20 shooting the ball. I mean, it's got to be tough for these veterans as the Nets try to get younger. I know Zaire Williams is still on the younger side. I think he's
Yeah.
23 or 24 years old, but it's got to be a weird situation where, the Nets draft these five players. They have a lot of young guys and you're still able to carve out your role with this team. Was very happy to see Zaire perform the way he did in Toronto.
Yeah, remember he was a high lottery pick and then got outcasted in Memphis because how they were restructuring everything for their push for a title run at the time. He comes to Brooklyn, he had a really nice first season, then had a really good game. He can clearly, when he gets on, he can shoot. He's long, and he has turned himself into a guy that's going to have an NBA career. And I think a lot of that has to go to the Nets and their coaching staff that's been able to develop him where he's going to get minutes. And he was the guy that spearheaded the run in the third quarter when the Nets were down, right around 18 points. he got really hot from three, and all of a sudden you had a 9-10 point game going into the fourth quarter, had a different feel to it. He had that really nice steal in the fourth quarter to cut it to three, where Toronto had to call a timeout. He had a nice performance there. And I look at him, and then I look at somebody like Noah Clowney, who the Nets got in the Kevin Durant trade, one of the draft picks. And, I saw his performance in this game, and it's just disappointing because he's got all this athletic ability in the world. He's put on a lot of muscle in the offseason. He looks really good. But then when he just kind of hangs around the 3-point line, it's so frustrating because you see a guy that's got so much athletic ability and talent and just raw skills. And just, I understand he was 0 for 5 from three, and I think he's going to shoot better than that during the season. But when he just hangs around the 3-point line, just that disappointed me because I just think of like him and then what I saw from Zaire, and it was just such different aggression. Like you just see two guys that are playing with a different level of aggression and confidence. And I thought it was really a display there. And, if you want to call it the stretch four position.
I think the frustrating thing with Clowney, and we got this, with Claxton these last 5 or 6 years, is these are really athletically gifted big men who don't have much of an offensive game. I mean, Nick Claxton finished with 13 and 11 yesterday. We've been, I saw I read a tweet last week. What does Nick Claxton work on in the offseason? Seriously, like you know what he brings to the table in terms of shot blocking, in terms of offense around the rim, but he has no offensive game. And I know it's different with Clowney. Clowney's a four. He's a true power forward. Claxton's a five. But you're starting to see this one-dimensional. Okay, you want to take a million threes a game? That's fine. Show me something in the paint. Show me a post-up game. Show me a mid-range game. Show me
Something.
anything.
Yeah.
And
Disappointing.
you just haven't seen it.
Yeah. And I think with Nick, like, I couldn't believe this too. He's his seventh year with the Nets. And that doesn't even seem possible. Like in my head, it's like year four, year three, but year seven, crazy. And he's earned himself a good contract. He's a good NBA player. But I think I think Nick Claxton needs to go somewhere where it's a team contending for a title and they can rely on him to block some shots, get some rebounds, give you 18 to 22 minutes and call it a day. Um, but I don't know if there's a trade market out there. We'll see how things develop through as the offseason continues. I feel like it's the same conversation year after year, but yeah, I think you got what Nick is, right? Like this is what he is, have your opinion on it. He's not going to get much better. I don't think he's going to get much worse. He'll have some games where he looks awesome, some games where he looks horrible. But yeah, like to Noah, he has the offensive skill set. I don't think Nick has it. Noah
Yeah.
has it. It's in him. I just like to see it more.
All right. I did want to talk about Saraf and Traore. So
Yeah,
both guys didn't have great games. They had a lot of turnovers whenever they were in there. But I'll tell you this, the difference between the two, in my opinion, when Ben Saraf is out there, he seems to control the game. He seems to get the guys involved who need to get shots. He had that one, was it the no-look alley-oop to Zaire Williams? That was a beautiful pass. That had Nick Claxton making a face to the camera. That was really cool to see. And then Saraf had that one play where he cooked and he went between the legs, spin move with the left hand off
over
glass.
quickly. Yeah,
Really nice move. Traore right now, and again, I know it's early. I know it's been 3 preseason games, so this is not me crapping on him. This is me just observing what I've seen. It looks lost out there at times. The game, it seems a little bit fast for Traore. He hasn't really been able to get to his spots. Toronto was picking the Nets up full court a lot of times, and Traore
yeah.
just didn't seem to handle that pressure super well. So, what have you seen in between these two guys, and what are your thoughts so far?
I've been really happy with Saraf. He had a bad first half against the Raptors, but the second half he led the Storm in that fourth quarter comeback, and he was great. I know the stats won't indicate it, and you won't see like a million points, but he got into the paint. He was able to create shots for other people. I've been pleasantly surprised with what I've seen from him. He's 19 years old, but to me, he plays like you had said, a little more poised, a little more under control, and it seems like more of an NBA veteran out there. So that gets me excited. I'm looking forward to what Saraf can be, and I think it's pretty clear right now. He's going to be the backup to Yegor. He's going to start at point. Saraf's going to come in. That's your point guard duo. Now, do they maybe split some time, give Cam a little bit of the ball? That's a possibility too. But I think you have your point guard and your starting point guard and your backup point guard there. For Traore, he's just not ready. He's gonna go to the G League. I think it's pretty clear watching it that he was overwhelmed by the Raptors' pressure. He's just not there yet. And he was the higher of the pick. I think he was 19, right? Saraf was 26. So I think it's, to me, there's no need. Like, if you've got the 2 point guards, you can't play all three, and this could be a judgment back on the Nets and how they handled the draft that night. But Traore has to go to the G League because he's got to play and develop. If he's in the NBA, he's not going to get minutes. I just don't see him, based on that evidence, that he's going to get over Saraf, who clearly looks like he's more ready and has earned the minutes based on the preseason. The eighth pick in the draft is going to get the minutes at starting point guard right now. He has to. So with that, and there's a log jam, he's got to go to the G League, play, develop, get better. There's no point to keep him up with the big boys and just have him rot on the bench.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think everyone who's watched these Nets preseason games would have to agree with that assessment. Um, and the last thing I'll say about this game, the Raptors do not look like a bad team. I feel like they can sneak into the playoffs this year in the East. They have the pieces. You know,
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram is going to be healthy for them. Scotty Barnes is the one on that team. You're adding guys like Barrett and Quickly who have proven themselves in this league, and then Yakov Poeltl, who's a pretty good starting center. That is not a bad starting five, Mike.
No, it's not. Like, to me, it has Knicks Raptors first round. I mean, this is like, could not be more obvious to me. Barrett and Quickly come back to the Garden. Like, I'm calling this now. That is going to be the first round matchup. I'm 100% convinced that you will see those two teams in the playoffs play each other. Yeah, it's health for a lot of it. Ingram's so talented, but can't stay on the court. Um, they have the pieces not to be, a great team. They would still need development from all the guys you're talking about, but clearly in a broken down Eastern Conference that has so many of the elite teams now just kind of muddled in the middle. Pacers take a huge step back without Halliburton for the year. Miles Turner now in Milwaukee. The Celtics don't have Tatum, and they retool that lineup looking more towards next season because they know it's lost this year with Tatum. Like, the East is so bad that there's no reason that, like, Toronto honestly couldn't move up to a 5 seed or a 4 seed. I mean, I think the two at the top are pretty secure in the Knicks and the Cavs. I think it would have to take some colossal injuries for those two teams to take a step down. And then you got the Magic, who are going to be better. They add Desmond Bain to that young core that they have that's building. I think those three teams, to me, are at the top of the Eastern Conference. And then the rest with Detroit, Philly, Toronto. You have all of these
Atlanta.
teams, Atlanta, who could Atlanta could be the best of the bunch there. But all of these teams, right? That you could make an argument for the Hawks to be the third best team in the East, and I could buy it. But they could also slip to the eighth. And I think all of these teams after the first two are really going to be fighting for and jockeying for position. And I think the Raptors are one of those teams that's in there.
Yeah, I mean when they were clicking out there, they were making the Nets look like a JV team, and luckily the Nets made it competitive in that second half. But I like Scotty Barnes' game. He's a connector. He does just enough to get everybody involved while also getting his. The question is, like, what's the fit going to look like with a healthy Brandon Ingram out there? Is there
Yeah.
enough for Quickly and Barrett to get theirs along with
Grady
Barnes
Dick,
and
second
Ingram?
year.
Grady Dick, who is my favorite player to watch just in terms of the way, commentators call games with Grady Dick.
There.
Yeah, no, the Raptors should be a little bit more exciting this year as opposed to previous years.
Yeah, it's just like with anything else with these teams, health. I mean,
Yeah,
I can't say how many games Quickly missed, Barrett missed, Ingram, came late in the trade, but like missed. Like, all of these guys just missing time makes such a huge difference. And if you look at the teams that are constantly at the top of the East last year, regular season wise at least, they have health. If you're healthy, you're going to win games because a lot of bad basketball teams out there. And there's wins to be had. The East is going to be like just a really interesting to see how the East develops this year because you have the Hawks, who I think could be really good. The Magic could be really good. Detroit, we saw what they did last year. Does Cade Cunningham continue to develop and be a super duper star? Can Scotty Barnes become a superstar and take more of a leap like Cade Cunningham did? There's a lot of questions in the middle pack of the East that will be fun to see develop in real time. And these are the teams the Nets are going to see on a night to night basis.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that Mike or I or any Nets fans think that Brooklyn's going to be one of those playoff teams. They could be, probably less than an 8% chance, in my opinion. But you know what, Mike? Just because they're one of the worst teams in the league doesn't mean that they can't keep everybody. They still have to cut guys, and that's got to
Yeah,
be a shitty feeling getting cut from the Brooklyn Nets. But they have to make a decision on one of two guys, Tyrese Martin or Jalen Wilson. In your opinion, who should they keep and why?
I would keep Martin. I think he's shown the most NBA moxie. I think Wilson is a good shooter, but I think Martin just brings a little more ball handling, and just feels like he's meant to be in the NBA more. Like you watch him out there and he looked confident. He was the only guy in the Raptor game in the first half. Not the only guy, but he went out there and he gave him a little stability. I think he's earned that. I think Wilson's a little more one dimensional. And I think for a team right now, Wilson doesn't make as much sense. So I would keep Martin personally.
I would agree with you. The way I look at it is Wilson has done everything he could to just be good enough to continue getting minutes on a crappy Nets team.
Yeah,
So the second this Nets team gets a little bit better, his just good enough is not going to cut it anymore.
no.
The way I look at Tyrese Martin's game is Tyrese Martin's taller than Jalen Wilson. I think he's a better natural shooter than Jalen Wilson is. He can play a little bit off the dribble. Like we saw, a few years ago when Tyrese Martin exploded against
Yep.
Phoenix in that game. I don't think that Jalen Wilson's capable of that. Um, so yeah, I would tend to agree, and you can rip on Marks, you can rip on the front office for whoever. Obviously we released Dariq Whitehead, most likely released Jalen Wilson. So if you look at that draft, Noah Clowney's the only guy left, and I don't think that Nets fans are in love with him yet. But yeah, just I think we knew of Wilson's shortcomings coming out of Kansas, and he wasn't able to overcome them. And it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help that the guy's never dunked in a basketball game. Like that's a tough label to have.
Is that a true stat? I didn't know that.
I think
I
it
mean,
is.
I
Yeah,
buy
yeah, yeah.
it. I buy it.
He's like one of
Well,
the only
yeah.
NBA players who's had a certain amount of minutes. He's over a certain height and just has never dunked.
I mean, they cut Keon Johnson. They're cutting the guys that were the bridge. Excuse me. They're cutting the guys that were the bridge until the rebuild. Like
Yeah.
that's what they're doing. So, I mean, I guess it would have been amazing if Jalen Wilson became a superstar, if Keon Johnson was a star. But the whole idea was we need guys on the roster to get us to next year. They developed them the best they could. I rather take chances on the guys they're drafting. Like if they were like, I don't know what else they can do. They only have a certain amount of roster spots, and they selected 5 rookies. So because
Right.
of that, there's going to be a lot of guys that are fringe NBA players that are going to get cut or going to get moved, and it's just the reality of it. Now, if you want to have a bigger conversation, well, the Nets shouldn't have done that. They should have drafted 3 rookies, moved picks around and then kept Jalen Wilson. Okay, that's a fair statement if you want to go with that conversation. But if you're going to draft 5 rookies, there's less room on the roster. It is what it is.
Yeah, and last week I think I asked the same question, and I had Jalen Wilson staying only because I wanted Sean Marks to look a little better, but I'm flip-flopping on this episode. Fuck that.
Okay.
I don't care how he looks. Tyrese Martin has been a better basketball player for the Brooklyn Nets,
Yeah.
so keep the better basketball player. I'm done trying to make Marks look better than he is. You went 1 for 3 in that draft, and we don't even know if it's 1 for 3 yet because we don't really know what Noah Clowney is
Sure.
yet. So yeah, we'll give it some time, but I'm in agreement with you. Tyrese Martin is the guy you want to keep. All right. We now have our first official ad read for the Spenny and the Nets podcast. All your favorite NBA players are back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is the place to bet on NBA stars this season. New customers bet just $5 and get 3 months of NBA League Pass, plus score $300 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SPENNY. That's code SPENNY. Spenny, bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass Plus, get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. All right, we'll put that in post. Big Nets fan news at Nets Daily reported on October 15th. The Nets are pausing for this season the BK Block, a
Hmm.
dedicated fan section that hosted the Brooklyn Brigade the last 7 seasons. Brigade will continue, but not the section. Team officials and fans will participate in the revamp to rebuild the program, says Nets. So, Mike, I sat in the brigade for one game, I think 2 seasons ago, with a buddy of mine. Shout out to Doug Barrett for hooking it up. But what a shitty way to reward some of your most loyal
So
fans.
can you explain that to me? Because they say they're not getting rid of it. So what is that? Does that mean it's so the section is dissolving, but the group will live on, but not just in games? Is that what that means?
Right now,
Trying to
they don't have a
understand that.
plan for it. I think they're going to get in touch with the guys who run the brigade and try to come up with a scenario. But for
So
where I think they're getting rid of this section right now, and they're going to try to, I don't know.
I, I
Yeah.
I guess I have questions because when that section were the Nets making money on that section? Like, were the guys that bought those tickets, were they at a discounted rate? I'm trying to understand, like, when you got to the brigade and you sat there, was it a discounted ticket because you were in this special section for Nets fans? So if a ticket there, let's say normally would be $150, right? That it was prorated at 50 or something because it was this section. Was there anything like that? Do you know, Spen, if you got there, or was it the same price? You were just with a bunch of your buddies.
I have no idea because I bought the tickets off Doug.
See, that's why. See, that's what I think. Like to me, if this is just another way because they're going to make more money, like that, like to me, that's the only logical reason. Is this section of 100 tickets outputted them $1,000, $2,000, but if they put them back on the regular market, they can make $10,000 or whatever it is. I don't know, but that's my speculation. Is it's just more? It's another way for them to make money. I don't think personally they give two shits to get rid of it because we got this great fan base. It's, oh, hey guys, we're losing from this section $250,000 a year because we're not selling the tickets at the right rate. And somebody said we gotta get rid of them. Like that to me is the only reason they would do this.
Yeah, I get what you're saying from a financial standpoint. I think the thing that bothers me more about it is, you know, to have this sort of loyal part of your fan base, like that has an identity, right? You hear about the brigade. I've sat in the brigade,
Yeah.
and to not show those guys sort of, I don't know, some type of loyalty in their fandom, and to just say like, hey, stand by, we're gonna try to figure it out with you, kind of a smack in the face.
Oh, it totally is. I don't disagree with anything of that, but I don't think they care. I think they just
Yeah.
want to make more money. I think at the core of it, they probably are taking a loss for having that section there. And that's disappointing. I mean, it was a great thing for net fans. I thought it was pretty cool to see, like, what 10% of the arenas like, what it's what 100% of other arenas are like. When you get fans that are engaged, and I shouldn't say that. When the Nets are cooking, it's pretty good in there. But yeah, I think it's just a money grab. I think it's just not even a money grab. I think if they were looking at like, we're losing money here, we don't care.
Yeah.
We just don't care. And ultimately that's what it comes down to. I know it sucks. If there's another reason for it, I can't imagine what another reason would be. Like, we don't like how the camaraderie it built and how fans were into it. There's no reason outside of money to dissolve that. So logically speaking, there's not somebody sitting there going, man, I hate those guys and girls that are making so much noise over there. Like, they're the worst. They're so annoying. No, it's somebody that wants to make more money and they want to make more money. And I think ultimately that's all it is. And like, so the net fans, what it sucks, but what can you do about it? There's just like you said, it's a slap in the face. It's a slap in the face. It was a cool thing to have. It's like the Yankees have the judge chambers, But they're the Yankees, so they're printing money. That to me, I think is just at its core, we don't care. We want more. We want more money. Sucks for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the location, it's a prime location. It's like right
Yeah,
behind the basket.
right,
Um, it was a
right.
cool
Because
experience sitting there. Like they
yeah,
got some pretty good chirps. When the opposing team's on the line, they talk shit respectfully.
yeah,
Um, the one game I was at, like we played the Bucks really competitively, and this is last year actually. When the team was shit. Giannis
yes,
comes in the fourth
yes,
and just gives us the L. But no, it stinks.
yeah,
And these are fans that have probably been with the Nets since they moved
totally.
to Brooklyn, right? Like
Yep.
most of them. So I get it. If it's a money grab, then screw you for trying to be greedy. If it's anything else, please explain yourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, it does suck because those are the best net fans in that arena. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like for the most part, those are the people that really truly care and come in there and give their heart and soul. Maybe they'll they'll move everybody to section 228, right? In the nosebleeds where it's less of a sunk cost. But yeah, no, disappointing. That was always fun. Like good chance from there. And I never had the opportunity to sit over there, but I know a lot of people, hearing about how fun of an experience it is. But the Nets, I don't know, man. Like they're just the Nets. I don't know how to explain it.
They're just the Nets. When you think that they're gonna make the right decision, when you think they're gonna zig, they zag. That is this organization in a nutshell. All right, real fast before we get to what is Nets Twitter saying, in a response to a report about Devin Carter's days with the Kings coming to an end. Uh, oh, I guess at Bob Sacamano, who's a known Nets Twitter personality for those
Yeah.
at Bob Sacamano _5. He responded to this report about Devin Carter's career with the Kings ending. Would love Nets to pounce on this. Carter was the 13th pick out of Providence in 2024, but the front office who drafted him is not with Sacramento anymore. Mike, do we have any interest in Devin Carter?
I don't. I think I don't. Where's he playing? Where's he going? I think just I'm good with what they have. Like, yeah, I think we're okay. He's not gonna. It's like Kobe Buffkin. Like there's just only so many guys you can put on the roster that have potential maybe to be turned around at a second stop. But at some point you just got to be like, all right, this is what it is, you know?
I'm gonna be real with you, Mike. I'm done with other teams' leftovers. Like
Right.
we've made it work for a few guys, but yeah, like it's becoming a trend where if you're a young player and your career isn't working out with the team that drafted you, try it with the Nets. See if it
Right.
works in Brooklyn. It's
Right.
it's shitty, and I get it. We
Yeah.
we made it work with Zaire Williams. I don't know, Kobe Buffkin's another one. We're gonna try it with him. But Tyrese Martin's another guy. Like he bounced around before he started getting legitimate minutes with the Brooklyn Nets. I'm just done with it. Like get
Yeah.
these young guys that are homegrown, grow Saraf, grow Danny Wolf, let these guys play a little bit more and enough with the reclamation projects. Like,
Yeah.
like we've done it before. I get it.
Yeah. And the one guy we haven't mentioned today who I actually think you could see being on a good team is Terrence Mann. Um, he had you could see him as a guy off the bench for a team going for a title that would work. He can shoot, uh, athletic, get to the basket. Like I like Terrence Mann's game. Be curious to see if he's somebody the Nets can trade at the deadline. Remember, they got him in the deal to acquire that extra Hawks pick. And we'll see if the Nets can then move Terrence to get more young assets. But he's unless they overachieve and then stay. But assuming this team's going to stink, um, I think he's a guy that maybe the Nets could flip.
It's funny. I like Terrence Mann's game. I think he's the odd man out in Brooklyn in terms of like production. So like he plays a position similar to Cam Thomas. And Cam Thomas is obviously a little bit better. And then Michael Porter Jr. is going to be that second guy who's going to get those touches and shots. I don't know if there's enough sort of scoring to go around for a guy like
Yeah,
Terrence Mann, where he can get 20 a night. I just don't
no,
see it for him this season. But
yeah,
I agree with what you said. If he can show flashes, similar to kind of how Lonnie Walker a few years ago would pop off for a few games for the Nets, If teams can see that, maybe make an offer for Terrence Mann. You know, he's still relatively young. I think he's under 25, if I had to guess his age. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like it's funny. I thought he would work in LA with the Clippers because it just kind of made sense there. He's 29. Terrence Mann's almost 30, so I didn't know that. He just turned 29 yesterday.
Wow, happy birthday, Terrence.
Happy birthday, Terrence Mann.
Wonder
So
what I
yeah,
wonder if you did anything fun.
I don't know. We'd have to check it out
Get him
on.
on.
Yeah, we'll get him on.
Spend this Nets team is going to stink, but it's going to be a lot more fun than it was
Oh
last
yeah,
year. I think you can already see that. Like last year was one of the worst years ever as a Net fan. Cam Thomas is hurt. It, the team has none of their own young players, like truly. And they're kind of just spinning their wheels waiting to get to this next season where they have 800 draft picks. And those draft picks have happened. So now they're going to stink, but it's going to be our stink. And it's going to be a
right.
lot more fun to watch this year. And I could already feel that when I was watching that Raptor game. I was like, oh, this is refreshing. Like even when they were, even like when Traore couldn't get the ball over half court, and RJ Barrett stole the ball for the seventh time off him. It was it was my guys, and I was into it. And if at the end of the year they're all bad, that's a different conversation. Then we're like, oopsie daisies, here we go again, as my 5-year-old would say. But this this is our stink, so I'm into it.
Yeah, yeah. And Terrence Mann, another reclamation project from the Brooklyn Nets. Another guy trying to revive his career because it didn't work with the team that took him.
Hey, that's that's the Nets.
All right, this is a new segment. We started it last week, but it's honestly one of my favorite segments. And I think it's great for you because you're not on Nets Twitter. So I call this "What is Nets Twitter saying?" I picked 5 tweets. We're gonna read them, react to them. The first is at Legion Hoops, notable account on X. They tweeted the Brooklyn Nets are projected to win 21 games this season per BetUS underscore NBA. Are you taking the over or under
I'll take the
21
over.
games?
I'll take the over just because I think the league's not very good. I think it's pretty top heavy, and then you got a lot of mediocre teams. I think the Nets probably get like 26 wins, so I'll take the over.
Give me the under. Joe
That
Tsai
bad.
publicly said he wants them to suck. Jordy tried to combat that. They're gonna play their young guys. I think we're gonna see a lot of moments where we're like, damn, Jaeger Doyman, Saraf, Danny Wolf, Drake Powell, maybe Nolan Traore in the second half of the season. Some of these guys look good. I don't think that's gonna result in wins. I can see, like you said, Terrence Mann getting moved. I do think Nick Claxton gets moved before the trade deadline. I will be shocked if he finishes another season with the Brooklyn Nets, or if both him and Dayron are here next year. I don't know, like the way last year started with Schroeder and Cam Johnson kind of leading the way, and the Nets getting a bunch of wins almost like by accident, and then them really trying to suck that second half of the year. We win that game against Philadelphia, and all of a sudden we go down in the draft lottery. I just don't think they're going to do the same thing
You
again.
think
And
they
I
learned
think
their lesson?
yeah, I think they learned their lesson. I think they're going to win like 18, 19 games. It's going to be close. But, we talked about like the Raptors being sneaky better. I think the Hornets are a better team. Like they just waived Spencer Dinwiddie, who I think can still play in this league. And then you look at the Wizards. Like the Wizards are supposed to be the bottom of the East, but they're
They're
also getting better from
young
from a
talent.
from a talent standpoint. They're building out their young core. They got guys like Carrington, Koulibaly.
They're a year ahead
Um,
of the Nets.
Right, right. So I just when I look at it like that, it's you're hard pressed to find any teams that you can confidently say are worse than the Brooklyn Nets next
I
season.
I just see the way
This
this coach plays the guys and how hard they play. Like even the Raptors lost, and I know it's a preseason game, but for this argument's sake, it felt like a regular season game the way it came together. Like they always play so hard that I think they sneak a few more. I'm not saying they're going to win 41 games, but for the 21 and a half, I see them sneaking a few over just because of how he coaches. Then ultimately too, though, you get into the lottery if you're like look at Dallas wins the lottery last year. The whole lottery was out of whack. That's the part about it that's frustrating is you could see them win 18 games and have the fifth pick. You could see them win 34 games and win the lottery. I mean, and that's not a outlandish statement. Just the way the lottery is now.
My hatred for the Knicks, I'm very vocal about it on this podcast, but I'll tell you this, Mike. Dallas is not far behind for me.
Hmm.
I dislike Dallas so much. First of all, I
Hmm.
disliked them before they got the number one pick. You know, Kyrie Irving being there, going to the finals a few years ago, that bothered me a lot. Um, just the way he talks about his tenure in Brooklyn and how he kind of looks down on everybody here and he didn't take accountability for what happened here and I think that's all three
It's
guys
not
should
happening.
take accountability. They didn't.
Yeah.
So I root for the destruction of Dallas's franchise every year and the fact that Cooper Flag looks like just a no doubt rookie of the year coming if he stays healthy. They're gonna get Kyrie back midseason. I am terrified of Dallas, and they have so many good players on that roster, like just up and down guys like PJ Washington. You have Gafford and Lively as your front court. Um,
Yeah.
Dante Exum's on that roster. Hardy
Anthony
is
Davis.
Anthony Davis. Like Clay Thompson. If you you forget Clay Thompson's still on that team.
Yeah. He's not the same guy, but yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
right, but they have D'Angelo Russell's their rental point guard. I
No, they
mean,
they have a good team. No, I never. That's an interesting question that you posed. Though they're your number two in hate. So if you get like a Mavericks Knicks finals, rooting for Dallas will suck, but you'll have to do it.
right, and I
You have
loved
to do it.
Cooper Flag up until he got taken by Dallas, and now I hope I hope somebody else wins. I can't like
Yeah.
the
Well, you
fact that
got
they
me thinking.
traded. Yeah,
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I say the fact that they trade Luca and get Cooper Flag is one of the stupidest fucking things I've ever seen. That was
Yeah,
the
it's
last thing I was gonna say.
horrible. No, it's horrible. Yeah, I don't know. Never really thought of who the second team I despise the most is. It probably just rotates based on like, Boston's usually up there. I've seen the
Yeah,
Sixers in the conversation. But it's such a far second place. I guess it kind of just it depends on the season that's going on, maybe.
that's fair.
Used to be Boston.
Um,
Used to be Boston
used to be
number one.
Boston. But we always see my thing with Boston is we were never competitive at the same time when we weren't beating them, right? Because like when I'm talking about Pierce and Antoine Walker, the Nets owned that rivalry,
Yeah, they beat them twice, back to back
right?
seasons. Yeah.
Then the Celtics get the big three, and the Nets are obsolete those few
Doesn't
years.
matter. Yeah.
Then the Celtics trade us their washed, all stars. We
Yeah.
gladly accept. And we're competitive those years when Miami's got the big three. The Celtics stink. I was in Massachusetts in college those years, and I would have to, actually it's funny, my Boston Celtics fans, my friends who are Celtics fans, they rooted for the Nets. They were like, shit, if we're gonna suck, we might as well root for Pierce and KG,
Right.
which I thought was interesting. But like we've never been, and then you have the KD Kyrie years where we beat them that one year in the playoffs. They were banged up. I don't think they had Jaylen Brown for that series.
Did not.
Then they come back and they beat us when we're kind of like on our last legs, and KD and Kyrie really don't want to be here anymore. And the supporting cast was awful. And yeah, like that's the only reason I've never really hated the Celtics because we're never rivals at like, and when we were rivals, we kicked the shit out of them.
Yeah. To me, it's always like, you mentioned you were in Massachusetts. I'm a big Giants fan, and I never really had a problem with Washington. But then when I lived in Virginia, when I lived in Virginia, the Giants won two Super Bowls, by the way. So the Giants were at their peak of greatness in my lifetime, at least. But it was the Washington fans that got on my nerves, right? And I never really thought of that. Now, because I live in New Jersey, and the Commanders or whatever, they had a good year last year. Don't get me wrong; they went to the NFC Championship. But now it's more of the Eagle fan that drives me nuts in Central Jersey. So a lot of it too is your surroundings, who you're near, what you're around. Like that kind of goes by why like the Knicks are most annoying for me is we share the same city. So I think a lot of it may have to do with that.
Speaking of the Giants winning the Super Bowls, I was also in Massachusetts for that 2011 Super Bowl win against
Right.
the
So you
Patriots.
people probably hated you.
So it's funny you said that. I was in my dorm room with four other guys. I don't think anyone was a Patriot. We all had Giants gear on. We're rooting for the Giants. We lived in Southwest so let me backtrack. I went to the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. It's one of the biggest party schools in the country. And Southwest, the Southwest housing on campus is one of the rowdiest on campus housing areas. It's like a mini city for thousands and thousands of freshmen and sophomores to just get blackout drunk every night. I did not do that, but a lot of kids did. So game happens, the Giants beat the Patriots, and I look outside and there are riots forming with
Oof.
angry Patriots fans. So what I did the smart thing. I took my Giant shirt off and we went outside to watch mayhem. Now, not everybody was as smart as I. There was a student who had a Victor Cruz jersey on, and he was salsa dancing in a sea of Patriots fans. He proceeded to get blindsided, cold cocked in the face by multiple people. And he got beat up, and it was on video, and it was horrible. But I'll tell you this, Mike. I had a grin on my face watching everything the entire time because I knew we took their heart that night.
Yeah.
And to be in the middle of angry, losing Patriots fans, knowing my team won, even if I couldn't gloat in their face because I would have been gloating in a bunch of strangers' faces. Like, it's not like my friends there at the
Yes.
time. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny. All our Patriots friends, they went home to watch the game. So it was just the New York, Long Island, New Jersey
Right.
kids who stayed. It was great. But I get what you mean. It does depend where you are. And I don't really know anyone who's a Dallas fan. It's just my hatred for Kyrie Irving. You know what? Hate's a strong word. I don't hate the man. My dislike for him. And what
You
he
said,
did to my organization.
well, you said something, he never took accountability, but it's all, and I'll leave you with this on that part. Like, COVID happened. He didn't want to get, I mean, it's pretty simple. COVID happened and he had a stance. Um, James Harden got the shot. Kevin Durant got the shot. Kyrie didn't, and it caused mayhem. Um, and the rest is history. You want to agree or disagree? But that vaccine mandate that the New York area had, it just, whatever your stance is on all this stuff, don't care. That's what created this. And it was just pure chaos from there.
I know I got a few more tweets to read, but I want to stay on the subject for a second. Did you see? I only saw the clips of that Netflix basketball
Yes.
show with
Yeah.
Harden
Yeah.
talking about Brooklyn and KD.
They got to
That
do
was
a 30
interesting.
for 30 on this team. I mean, it would be fascinating to see the rise of the Nets from having nothing, like the job that Sean Marks did, to then bring him in, then make the trade for Harden, and then everything that happened from that point on with injuries, the Buck series, like, be fascinating TV, no doubt.
Yeah, it would
Depressing.
be. It would be. I would hate watch it, but I would
Yeah, you'd
watch
be
it.
you'd be in the documentary, like an 8 second
For
clip.
for those who haven't seen, Netflix does that show. I think it's the start. Is it called The Starting Five?
I think you're right. Yeah.
And they had a clip of Kevin Durant on, being interviewed. He goes, "Why don't you ask James Harden what happened in Brooklyn?" And James, the clip cuts to Harden, and Harden just goes, "Yeah, Brooklyn was a lot. It was a lot." That was his explanation. Like not really, he doesn't give any sort of it. Just he says it was a lot, and that's why he, demanded a trade. I just thought that was funny. Okay. We have this next tweet at Jake Vias Mingo, Vious Mingo, first name Jake, wrote on October 17th. This is what we talk about. Nets Twitter, heat of the moment. This is in all caps. After 10 minutes of basketball, I can say without a doubt, Jaeger Duyman has changed my life. Okay.
It's amazing.
I mean, listen, your life is changing with 14 minutes of preseason basketball from your rook.
Congrats. That's
All right,
cool.
cool. That's
I'm
cool.
jealous. It didn't
Me
change my
too.
life.
Next tweet at BKN Ross tweets Nets rookie power rankings after the preseason. Number one, Jaeger. Two, Saraf. Three, Wolf. Four, Powell. Five, Traore. You agree or disagree with that ranking system?
I'd put Wolf too. Well, I don't even know. I mean, Jaeger played 19 minutes, so I don't know how to answer that. So that's a difficult one. But Wolf actually, he had some really good moments in China. He looked pretty good. You could argue he was number one.
Yeah,
He's
I'd
also
have to
like
change
15
this
years
up.
older than everybody. So
Danny,
I mean,
I would
an
go
older guy.
Saraf. In terms of consistency, Saraf to me would be number
The 11
one.
assist game.
I'd go two Wolf. I agree with that. I go three Jaeger in those 14 minutes. And I don't think Drake Powell has disappointed. I just don't think he's had
Hasn't
the
played.
opportunity. He hasn't
Yeah,
played. He
he'll
had that,
be in the G League. He'll be in the G League too.
he looked like a really solid on-ball defender to me
Yeah.
against Phoenix. He was making life difficult for Devin Booker a little bit. I like to see that. And then yeah, you like we talked about Traore. He's the guy that has the most work to do right now based on everything we've seen. Um, okay, next
I like
tweet
that list. I
at
like that list.
you like that list at next King Nets Kingdom posted AJ DeBunsa in his freshman debut, 30.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, 10 of 19 from the field, 2 of 4 from three, 8 of 8 from three free throw line. Nearly unstoppable getting downhill, living in the paint, but the most improves mechanics and smoother jumper made his scoring package look even scarier. Mike, is it too early to start watching tape on some of these potential
You're
Brooklyn
gonna
Nets
drive
in
yourself
college?
crazy. You're gonna drive yourself crazy because you're
Yeah,
gonna watch all this stuff. You're gonna fall in love with people, and then they won't be on your team. So you're gonna drive yourself crazy. I think Cooper was the guy because of how good his career was. But you're gonna drive yourself nuts if you're gonna watch these and then fantasize about it. It's just worry about what's here, and then once we know where once we get closer to that time of year, obviously we'll know what the future, the lottery and the draft, etc. But yeah, don't you drive yourself crazy.
I can guarantee you that there were no Nets fans who watched college basketball last year who were talking about Jaeger Duyman being the guy for the Nets, right? All we heard, and
No,
I'm in total agreement with you on this. All we heard was Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper. One of them are going to go to the
Rick
Nets. One of
B.
them all fucking year. And
Right?
who did we get? We got someone that nobody spoke about. So you don't know where the
You
cards
don't.
are going to fall. You don't know what pick we're gonna get. You hope for a top pick, but yeah, if you want to watch AJ DeBunsa play for BYU, just enjoy it from that standpoint. Enjoy it from just a basketball standpoint.
Yeah,
Enjoy these young kids hooping. But the second you start to fall into that, oh well, he can be a net trap. You're going to get disappointed.
yeah. You're just setting yourself up for failure.
Agreed. All right, this is the last tweet we got at GYS FMPOV Chris. Fun at handle right there. Says, I know I've said this a billion times, but I'm dead ass. I'm already disappointed in them bringing back Dayron because I see the same old Day Day, and that's not a good thing. Last straw would be them choosing Wilson over Kobe.
Um,
Uh, yeah,
there's a lot there. Yeah, I mean, Dayron came back on a discounted deal. I don't mind
right.
that. Then I just, I know this sucks, but like, it's not going to matter. That last point is unfortunately, and hopefully Kobe Buffkin can prove me wrong, but it's just not going to matter. Like uh, uh, that opinion there is one that's theirs, but it won't matter for the future of this franchise. Like when the Nets are good, Kobe Buffkin and Jalen Wilson will not be on the team, so it doesn't matter. Don't stress yourself out over it.
Yeah, my question to this person is like, who did you want them to sign as the backup center? Like who are you getting
Yeah,
really mad at that they signed Dayron over? And then yeah, I mean, I guess if you think Kobe Bryant Buffkin is gonna be this unstoppable force in Brooklyn, then sure we shouldn't cut him. But um, I don't know. I don't even know how that works because I how
I
does
don't
it? Do you
either.
know? Yeah,
No,
because I know
the
they're
answer to your
choosing
question is
between.
no. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Anyway,
Dayron, you got to sign Dayron back, and I hope for Dayron he has a successful NBA career. I don't think it'll be with the Nets, but for him, he's another guy. Maybe at the deadline they can deal. He can rebound. He cannot set screens on Friday. We saw that. That was bad. But yeah, there's no other. That's a good backup signing of your center. Yeah, but I appreciate that person's passion for the Nets. To have that kind of discourse and conversation, like at the micro level, um, maybe they should be in the organization.
Yeah, no, those were 5 tweets. That's
I like
what
it.
Nets Twitter is saying. I like that segment. All right,
Me
Mike,
too.
we're gonna come to a close. Episode 232. This is the end. I did have one quick message, just something that's been bothering me, and I wanted to share it with you before the end of the
Sure.
show. This is sort of just a message to social media in general. Stop the AI slop.
Mm.
Okay, I saw a video of Abraham Lincoln in a Washington Wizards jersey talking to the media about his retirement. Stop it. All right. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to start to see AI clips of the Brooklyn Nets winning a championship, and it's going to piss me the fuck off. It's lazy, it's unoriginal, and I hate it. And I know we're going to see that because I've already seen them doing it with the New York Jets on TikTok, where they show the locker room and they're celebrating a championship. It's just, here's my message: make your own fucking content and don't let the robots take over. That's my message.
I'll make sure not to. I'll take down my tweet I had planned later of Yegor Dioman holding up the Larry O'Brien trophy. Now I agree. I agree. It's just annoying because
It's
I
just
know because
annoying, man.
you're gonna see teams this year that you don't like doing it, and I'm telling you, I've 90% off Twitter, and it has made my life better.
I
I
bet.
mean
And
that.
I'll tell you this, for those who don't know, Mike is the host of the Bad Weather Fans podcast. He hosts with Alex Benezowitz, who's a Knicks fan. Mike is a Nets fan. It's one of the most entertaining NBA podcasts in the podcast world, in my opinion.
Thank you.
I of course I think it would be very funny if you made an AI Knicks championship thing before they even played a game. Send it to Alex and go, this is gonna be you guys in like 9 months.
Yeah, oh God, I don't know. I can't write those prompts. Please show Jalen Brunson holding and Mikal Bridges holding the Larry O'Brien trophy together. Show passionate fans with orange and blue jerseys in the background going crazy. Can you make this on 34th and 7th Avenue in New York City? Please make. No, not
That'd
happening.
be great.
That's funny though.
Mike, any final words for the Nets fans out there?
Yeah, they're gonna suck, but it's gonna be fun. Enjoy it. It's our guys, and get used to this new net basketball. Just enjoy the experience, and it's at least now would have good or bad. At least it's our guys, so there's some excitement level there, and I'm looking forward to the season. So just don't don't micro every single small decision. This is a longer process now, and it's the first step, and hopefully a big rebuild for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, yeah, and piggybacking off that, enjoy it while you can, right? Because this is pressureless basketball. This is guys developing their games for the greater good of the future. So don't think about wins and losses. Think about what did I see from Jaeger Duyman, from Danny Wolf, from Ben Saraf? What did I see from Drake Powell? What did I see from these guys that has me excited for the next 2 or 3 seasons?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it that way and you just have fun with it, you're not going to be disappointed. And guess
Agreed.
what? If they win a few games here and there, don't get mad at that either. That's
They will.
also
It's going to happen. They're
it's
going
going
to
to
win.
happen.
They're going to up. They're going to have a game where they upset said team. They beat the Bucks on the road. They beat the Knicks in Brooklyn. It's well, that might not happen, but it's because it's been a god long time. But they're going to have some surprise with some surprise wins because every NBA team does it, and they do have some young talent. So once in a while, it's going to pop. It's going to show. You're going to get a little tease, right? You get a little tease on that.
And that is not bad for the culture. So Nets fans, lock in. Season starts on Wednesday, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, guys.